Discover the incredible moment when a CEO sat with a single mom, a life-changing journey unveiled. In the heart of Chicago, a moment brewed over coffee and warmth, the buzz of the city oblivious to the life-changing encounter about to unfold. Sarah, a single mother of two, rose each dawn from her humble apartment, embraced by the scent of vanilla and cinnamon wafting through her tiny kitchen. The weight of financial struggles pressed down like a heavy blanket, but her spirit remained unbroken. Each pastry she baked a love letter to her children, Mia and Josh. On a brisk afternoon, a charity event filled the local community center with chatter and laughter. Children's faces brightened with painted smiles as their mothers shared stories of perseverance. Among the attendees, Mark, a powerful CEO, entered with the air of success, but beneath that exterior, an emptiness lingered. His world of profit margins and stock reports felt increasingly hollow, and today, he was searching for something more, something real. Then Sarah appeared, flour dusting the tip of her nose, her hands still warm from kneading dough. Their eyes met amidst a sea of voices, and in that instant, a connection sparked, raw and electric. They struck up a conversation that felt like sorcery, unfolding layers of life neither had expected to share. Sarah spoke passionately of her baking dreams, eyes shimmering with hope as she recounted her childhood memories of her own mother in a kitchen filled with laughter and warmth. "Every loaf and cupcake is a step toward a better future," she said, her words flowing like a soothing melody. Mark leaned in, captivated by her determination. With every tale of juggling jobs and bedtime stories, she painted a picture of love and resilience that instantly illuminated the dullness of his corporate life. He listened, really listened, as she opened her heart, sharing the battles she'd fought, the nights spent crying over bills, striving to show her children that dreams could be tangible, fiery, a reality they could grasp. But then came the shift. "I work for a company ready to invest in a competitor," Mark confessed, the weight of his revelation hanging heavily between them. A twister of emotions churned in Sarah's chest. Here was a man, someone who could make a monumental decision, standing at a crossroads. Did he understand what his investment would mean to someone like her? Would it crush her dreams, rip apart the very essence of the community she cherished? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. An urgency ignited within her as she challenged Mark, her voice shaking with passion. "True success isn't just about profits, Mark. It's about uplifting the community, the hearts and dreams entwined within it." She could feel the fire of her resolve burning bright, the embers of her hard-fought reality laid bare before him. Just as their connection deepened, Mark's phone buzzed ominously in his pocket. A corporate update flashed across the screen, news of the investment deal. Panic surged as he grasped the weight of the moment. The dream he was considering could extinguish the light Sarah radiated. As he looked into her hopeful eyes, he was left to grapple with the echoes of their conversation. Would he choose profit over people, or could he redefine success? Could her determination change the course of his life as he stood on the brink of a decision that could alter everything? The air crackled with tension, their futures balanced on a precarious edge. Mark felt the weight of the world pressing down on him, the buzzing phone in his pocket becoming a torturous reminder of the choices he had to make. He quickly glanced at the screen, a notification blaring promises of profits and success. But just behind those numbers loomed Sarah's hopeful gaze, filled with dreams that could slip away in an instant. What if? He started, his voice barely above a whisper, hesitation threading through his thoughts. What if he could break free from the numbing routine of corporate life? What if he could actually make a difference? The adrenaline raced in his veins, invigorating but terrifying. "Mark?" Sarah's gentle voice pierced through his internal chaos. Her eyes searched his, and her sincerity wrapped around him like a warm embrace. You don't have to be just a businessman. You can be a leader who changes lives. Her words hit him like a wave, crashing over the polished exterior he had built over years in the boardroom. I don't know if I have that power, he confessed, guilt creeping in like a shadow. Yes, you do. She responded, a fierce strength behind her words. You have the ability to invest in people, not just numbers. You could choose to fuel dreams instead of tearing them down. In that moment, a flicker of hope ignited within him. Could he really redefine success? He thought of his daughters, the life he had envisioned for them. Would he want them to chase dreams or follow a path driven solely by ambition? He felt torn, like a ship caught between the pull of the tides. As silence enveloped them, the weight of the moment became palpable. Around them, laughter and chatter drifted through the air, but it all faded into the background. It was just Mark and Sarah, caught at the precipice of change. What if, he began again, now with deep conviction. What if I pull back from the investment? We could work together, create something that not only grows your dream but uplifts the community around us. What if we built a future that makes lives better? The surprise that brightened Sarah's face was like sunlight breaking through dark clouds. You'd really consider that? A bakery that becomes a haven for those struggling, a place to find hope? Yes, Mark nodded, the burgeoning excitement igniting in his chest. We can partner on this. I want to help you turn that vision into a reality. Imagine a space where people come together to share stories, create joy, and heal. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as disbelief and gratitude crashed over her like a rushing river. I can't believe it. This could change everything, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. Just then, a cheer erupted from the other side of the community center. A group of children danced joyfully around a clown, their laughter echoing through the hall, a stark contrast to the serious choice being made in the corner. The moment felt electric, the possibilities were endless, but a lingering question hung in the air: could he truly follow through? Would he let himself be the kind of leader who opened doors, or would he retreat back to the familiar shadows of profit? As this internal struggle brewed within Mark, he knew that the next steps had to be decisive. While hope fluttered in his heart, uncertainty loomed large. Would he truly step into this new path, or would his fear tether him to the past? Mark. Sarah's voice broke his train of thought, pulling him back. Promise me this isn't just talk. Promise me that you'll truly consider this. We can change lives. He locked eyes with her, and at that moment, he made a promise not just to her, but to himself. I promise, he said, the words resonating with the weight of a new beginning. Sarah's smile blossomed, and everything around them seemed to shine just a little brighter, but deep inside, doubt still nagged at him. What if he couldn't carry through? What if the stakes were too high? As the laughter of children filled the air, he had to confront those thoughts head-on. What would it mean to take this leap? And would it truly transform their lives for the better? Just then, another vibration from his phone interrupted the moment, a harsh reminder that the weight of his decision was far from over. What would the next chapter hold? Mark took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his decision clawing at his insides. The laughter around them was infectious, but his mind swirled with uncertainty. He could hear his heart pounding, a relentless reminder that every choice mattered. A vision of a bakery filled with warmth, laughter, and community flickered in his mind, alongside the cold lifeless spreadsheets that had defined his existence. Let us find a quiet corner, Sarah said, her voice steadier than the tremor he felt inside. She led him to a corner of the community center, a space adorned with crafts and art done by neighborhood kids. It was vibrant, filled with colors that seemed to dance off the walls. A wave of nostalgia washed over Mark, memories of simpler days when creativity held more value than bottom lines. Mark, she said softly, breaking his reverie. What do you see when you think of this bakery? I see transformation, he replied, his voice gaining momentum. A place that offers hope, not just pastries. A community gathering spot. The excitement grew with each word. What if we offered programs? Things like baking classes for underprivileged kids, a space to share stories over coffee. It could be a launchpad for so many dreams. Sarah's eyes sparkled like the glint of sunlight hitting glass. Exactly. And we could work with local farmers, ensuring fresh produce. Every ingredient could come with a story, each loaf could represent someone's journey. For a moment, the world narrowed down to just their conversation. They were weaving threads of a possibility so rich with potential, it made Mark feel alive in a way he hadn't felt in years. The shadows of his corporate life seemed to lessen as Sarah's passion enveloped him, brightening even his dormant aspirations. Then a thought slammed into him like a freight train. But what if it doesn't work? What if I pour everything into this and it fails? Every great thing starts with risk, she replied, her voice firm. You don't have to get it right every time. You just need to get it started. If we reach even one child through this bakery, isn't that worth it? Her words struck a chord deep within him. The stakes were more than financial. They were about lifting spirits, about impact and meaning. The fear that had once gripped his heart began to loosen its hold. Okay, I want to do this, he said, the conviction solidifying in his voice. But I have no experience in this area. I need your guidance. Then let us find a way to build this together, she replied, her excitement palpable. We'll learn as we go. But first, I need a commitment from you. No backing down. The challenge hung between them, electric and real. Mark could see the trust bubbling in her eyes, and it sparked something deep inside. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about the people they could touch. I won't back down, he declared, his voice steady now. The tension in Sarah's expression melted and was replaced by a radiant smile. They shared a moment, an understanding that they were about to embark on something remarkable. Hope bloomed between them, and in that small corner of the community center, they were already a team. Yet, as the excitement buzzed in the air, Mark's phone vibrated again, pulling him back to reality. He glanced at the screen. An urgent message from his employer: we need to discuss your recent performance. We need you. Don't forget who you are. A cold chill washed over him. Choices loomed larger. The old life was reaching for him, a safety net he once clung to. Could he really poke a hole in that safety net and jump into the unknown? He looked back at Sarah, who was now animatedly discussing ideas. The contrast couldn't have been starker, a path of sturdy suits versus vibrant dreams. Mark felt torn again, but this time, he also felt resolve. Mark? Sarah paused, catching his troubled expression. What's wrong? He thought of the mixed messages clashing inside him and how a decision could change everything. Are we ready for this? And just like that, a new journey began, full of possibilities, uncertainty, and heart-stopping decisions. Would he be brave enough to cut ties with his past? Or would the fear of losing comfort tether him back to what he knew? The moment seemed to hang heavy between them, charged with possibility yet steeped in doubt. Mark felt the suffocating grip of his corporate past still lingering, like a shadow refusing to let go. He inhaled deeply, searching for clarity in the noise swirling around them. Maybe we can start by jotting down a list of what we need to do, he suggested, breaking the silence. Find a location, gather supplies, maybe even a business plan. Sarah nodded enthusiastically. That's the spirit. We can do this step by step. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. As they began brainstorming, Mark's heart raced, pumped full of adrenaline and excitement. Sarah's energy filled the air between them, pushing back the dark corners of uncertainty. A world of colors and smells unfurled in his mind, the scent of fresh baked bread, bright icing designs, and laughter bouncing off well-worn wooden tables. The bakery would be more than just a job, it would be a heartbeat in the community. Suddenly, the memories of long, soulless meetings peppered with corporate jargon felt distant. Mark could feel his heart pulling him towards something vibrant, something alive. Yet, that persistent chill of doubt crept back in as thoughts of his employer pushed to the forefront of his mind. What about funding? He asked, trying to combat the rising fear. We'll need money to get started, right? Sure, but we can explore grants, local sponsorships, and even community fundraising. There are people out there who believe in this sort of thing, she assured him. We just have to tell the story right. Mark felt a flicker of light. You mean if we can rally people around this idea, it could really take off? Absolutely. But it starts with us. We have to believe in it before anyone else will. There was an intensity in her voice that ignited something in him. Would his life's work really shift to something that mattered on a human level? He smiled, letting the prospect trickle through him. Okay, let's chase after it. But? She prompted, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. We need to tell our stories too. Create a personal connection beyond pastries, he said. The idea excited him. What if we opened up about our own struggles? Show that we're in this together? Brilliant! She exclaimed. People are drawn to vulnerability. They will want to support something they can relate to. Mark felt a thrum of hope. This bakery could be more than a place for baked goods, it could become a beacon of community, a place where struggles were shared, and togetherness was celebrated, but then his phone buzzed once more, jarring him from the moment. The familiar name on the screen snapped him back to his reality. It was his boss. Something inside him tightened. I need a moment, he said, stepping away to take the call. As he stood alone, he felt the tug of two worlds. On one side, the expectation and stability of his corporate job, on the other, a profound longing for something genuine and impactful. Mark. We need to talk about your direction moving forward, his boss said, the words clipped and urgent. I just need to think, Mark stammered, glancing back at Sarah, who was busy mapping out plans on a paper she had just pulled from her bag. He felt the weight of the entire conversation shift, the threads of his existence pulling tighter as he struggled with the choice ahead. Think? This is your career we're talking about. You can't just throw it away. He closed his eyes, heart pounding. The warmth of Sarah's idea wrapped around him like a blanket, a soothing contrast to his boss's sharp words. Maybe there is something more waiting for me, he said softly, more to himself than to his boss. As he hung up, a fire ignited inside him. The path was uncertain, but one thing was clear, he couldn't keep running from the pull of his heart. Are you okay? Sarah asked, seeing the expression on Mark's face. I need to make a choice, he replied, resolute. And it's going to change everything. His palms felt sweaty, the realization sinking in that every path was lined with the possibility of failure. But wasn't he that? What made life real? The connection, the dreams, the fear, the bright laughter around them faded into a distant hum. What did it mean to truly live, to step boldly into a life that felt authentic? The community center buzzed like a hive of bees, but all he could see was the bakery taking shape before him, sparkling with hope and promise. He turned back to Sarah, ready to share the decision that would alter the course of his life, but as he opened his mouth, a loud crash echoed from the main room, startling them both. What was that? She exclaimed, eyes wide with alarm. Mark felt a cold knot in his stomach. Whatever it is, we should check it out. The adventure was unfolding, and it was just the beginning. But the question remained, would that crash change everything in ways they hadn't anticipated? Mark felt a surge of adrenaline as he shared a quick glance with Sarah. They exchanged a nervous but eager look, the kind that promised they were on the edge of something bigger than themselves. Leaving behind the cozy confines of their brainstorming station, they made their way toward the source of the sound, uncertainty thrumming in the air. The main room was busy with volunteers setting up tables for an upcoming community event, unaware of the minute tension colliding in Mark and Sarah's minds. Their conversation had been bright, filled with dreams, yet now there was an unexpected twist. The crash echoed again, a cascade of scattered plastic cups and some heavy equipment tipping over. Everyone looked around in shock. "Is everyone all right?" Mark called out, striding further into the chaos. He spotted a few familiar faces from around the community, their eyes wide, taking inventory of the scene. Among them was Mrs. Jenkins, an older woman who had run the corner grocery store for decades. She looked gravely concerned, her wrinkled hands clenching around her clipboard. "Just a little mishap, dear," she called back, though her voice trembled slightly. "Nothing we can't fix." Sarah squeezed Mark's arm, her warmth grounding him amid the whirlwind. "We need to help," she said with determination. "This is how we get involved." Her insistence ignited something in him. The rising tide of possibility that had started in their conversation surged again. He nodded, swept into action. They rushed to assist the crowd, lifting the fallen gear, retrieving the scattered cups, and cleaning up the mess that had threatened to derail the event. As they worked alongside the others, Mark watched Sarah shine. She had a way of lifting people's spirits, her laughter infectious as she jokingly recounted a tale from her childhood. Suddenly, he was reminded of the heart of community, the bonds formed during trying times, the laughter shared over mundane tasks, and the strength found in collaboration. "Thanks for jumping in so quickly," a voice chimed from behind them. It was Daniel, a well-respected figure in the community center. "You both have great energy. We could use more of that around here." Mark felt pride bloom in his chest at Daniel's words. For the first time, he realized they were not just dreamers, they were doers. They were part of something greater than themselves, and that gave him courage. But then a shift occurred. The mood grew somber as the larger group began discussing funding shortages for the event. Mark listened intently as worries mounted about how to provide food, decorations, and necessary supplies. He exchanged glances with Sarah, who frowned, lifting her brow as if already processing how they could help make ends meet. "Maybe we can host a small bake sale," Mark suggested, his voice steady despite the flutter in his heart. "If we start right now, it could kickstart our bakery journey and tie into this community event. We could even donate a portion of the sales." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Great idea. We could incorporate personal stories into our sales pitch. Everyone loves supporting a cause." Daniel looked impressed. "I think that could work. It would bring everyone together and show how our community can rally when times are tough." Mark felt the connections deepening, the community wrapping around him like a warm blanket, modifying his doubts into determination. In that moment, he understood the weight of responsibility that came with ambition. Fighting for each other mattered more than any individual dream. As they finalized their plans, a sense of clarity washed over him. Mark knew he had to fully embrace this notion of starting the bakery not only for himself but for Sarah and for everyone who would be touched by it. It was about more than just pastries, it was about forging bonds and sharing their stories. But before any more thoughts could form, a sudden flicker of the overhead lights interrupted their plans, plunging half the room into darkness. "What now?" Sarah laughed nervously, glancing toward Mark. Mark felt his pulse quicken again. "I guess we're in for another surprise." What would this electrical glitch mean for the burgeoning plans they just set into motion? And as uncertainty loomed, would they be able to hold on to the spark of their dream amidst the chaos? The darkness swallowed the room, the abrupt silence hanging heavy like a thick fog. Mark could hear the muffled sounds of discomfort, whispers weaving through the gathering. He instinctively reached for Sarah's hand, feeling the warmth of her palm in the enveloping gloom. "Let us find some flashlights," Sarah suggested, her voice cutting through the uncertainty like a beacon. "Right behind you," Mark replied, adrenaline urging him to act. They dashed towards the storage area, fumbling in the dimness. Cold metal brushed against his fingertips as he pulled out a flashlight, handing one to Sarah. She switched it on, the beam slicing through the dark like a lifeline. "Now we can see," she smiled, momentarily illuminated by the warm glow. They stepped back into the main room, the bright light revealing the chaos that remained. Some volunteers had gathered near the windows, trying to restore spirits while others began packing up the last of the falling decorations. Mark noted the unease etched on most faces, the shadow of worry still looming. "Okay, everyone." Mark called out, his voice steadying as he gained confidence, "Let's not let this stop us. Grab a flashlight and let's organize." Sarah beamed at him, her enthusiasm infectious. Around them, a ripple of energy sparked as the others began to move. Armed with their flashlights, they formed a new scheme, creating a mini-fair of sorts right there in the center, drawing everyone together. Under the flickering lights, Mark proposed setting up a table for their baked goods. "How about we offer samples? We can have a tasting right here," he suggested, and his heart raced with excitement and fear. Would people be willing to try something new, especially with the electricity still wavering? That's a perfect way to get people involved. Sarah exclaimed. "We can gather stories while they taste. It might actually make the bake sale even more appealing." As they put their plan into action, people congregated around them, curiosity pulling them closer. Mark found himself telling anecdotes while Sarah rallied everyone to share their favorite baked goods. Laughter began to spill like the first drops of rain after a long drought. There was an elderly man who shared how his grandmother's cookies brought him joy during tough winters, a young girl eagerly explaining her chocolate chip recipe. Mark's heart swelled at every story, how they all melded into a shared tapestry of memories, reminding him of why they were here in the first place. But just as the atmosphere began to shift back toward hope, a loud crash once again echoed through the room. "What now?" Mark breathed, his spirit momentarily deflating. From the back, a crowd had surged, too excited and eager, knocking over a table stacked with supplies. Mark watched as supplies spilled out, panicking young volunteers scrambling to gather them back. "Stay calm," Sarah shouted, her voice breaking through the clamor with a steadiness that calmed the crowd. "We've got this. Let's take a deep breath together." Mark marveled at her ability to rally everyone, the way she ignited fearless hope in their hearts. But then he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. Daniel was standing at the edge of the commotion, a troubled expression folding across his face. "Sarah. Mark. Look," he called, pointing toward the door leading outside. A chill raced down Mark's spine. There, silhouetted against the scattered lights, was a figure, a woman standing apart from the crowd, her face shadowed and obscured. Who could that be? He wondered out loud, curiosity twisting into concern. As the room surged with excitement, the atmosphere shifted again, a sense of mystery weaving its way into the fabric of the gathering. Would she step forward to share her story, or would the event take an unexpected turn? The uncertainty loomed, and with it, the questions. What did she want? What secrets did she hold? And how might her presence change everything they believed about community? The room buzzed with a mixture of excitement and apprehension, everyone's eyes drawn to the stranger in the doorway. The flickering light bounced off her silhouette, giving her an almost ethereal quality. Mark's mind raced. Who was she, and why was she here? The tension was thick, a collective breath held among the crowd. "Should we go see?" Mark whispered to Sarah, glancing at her eager face. He didn't want to seem too forward, but something about the woman pulled him in. "Definitely," Sarah replied, her voice barely above a murmur, yet filled with determination. "Let's figure out what's happening." As they carefully made their way through the group, Mark caught snippets of murmured speculation. Some wondered if she needed help, others whispered about ghost stories from the old building. Mark's heart quickened as they approached the figure, shadowed but still undeniably present. The woman stepped forward, revealing a soft expression illuminated by the flashlights. Her hair was long and tousled, and her clothes looked worn but clean. "I'm sorry for intruding," she said, her voice trembling. "I heard the commotion and wanted to see if everyone was all right." Relief washed over Mark like a wave, but the worry remained. "We're okay. It's just been a little chaotic," he replied, trying to put her at ease. "Really, I'm sorry," she continued, her gaze darting nervously among the crowd. "I didn't mean to interrupt. Her voice broke, and she hesitated, searching for the right words. "I've been struggling, and I thought maybe." She trailed off, glancing toward a small poster advertising the community bake sale. "I thought maybe I could join and help. Maybe it would distract me." Sarah instinctively stepped closer to the woman. "Of course. We'd love to have you. Everyone's welcome here." Mark watched as the other volunteers began to warm up to her, the anxiety fading from the room. More people approached, inviting her to help with the baked goods and sharing their own tales of struggle and triumph. He could see the woman's shoulders relax as she heard their stories. They were no longer just strangers, but individuals with shared experiences. A realization dawned on him. In this small moment, a bridge formed between the woman and the community, a connection born from hardship and hope. Their gathering, meant to raise money for others, was also about healing for themselves. "Let's set up another table for you," Mark suggested, sensing the warmth of camaraderie growing stronger. "What's your name?" "Emma," she replied, a shy smile breaking through the earlier gloom. As they prepared a space for Emma, Mark's heart swelled at the sight of her already engaging with the others. Her hesitation melted away, replaced by laughter and stories, blending seamlessly into the evening's energy. It was a moment of clarity. This wasn't just about baked goods or a successful event, it was about bringing together a community stitched by shared experiences and emotions. But just then, Daniel stepped back from the crowd, peering towards the entrance again. "Guys, look!" he shouted, pointing at something behind them. Mark turned, feeling a rush of tension pulse through the room again. What now? Another unexpected twist. His breath caught as he witnessed the door swinging open once more, and a familiar face stepped into the glow of the flashlights, a face he hadn't seen in years. As the whispers resumed, excitement mixed with uncertainty. This event had taken on an unexpected life of its own. Yet, as the mystery deepened, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to shift yet again in a way none of them could foresee. What would this reunion mean for them, and how would it redefine their journey together? Mark squinted into the bright light, trying to comprehend the figure that had just walked through the door. A wave of mixed emotions hit him like a cold gust of wind. Was it really her? How long had it been? Lily? He finally managed to mutter, his voice barely a whisper. She looked up, surprise etched across her features. "Mark? I didn't expect to see you here." The crowd buzzed behind him, but the noise faded as he focused solely on her. It felt surreal, like a scene from a movie where past and present collided abruptly. "Wow, it's been years," Mark said, forcing himself to step forward, tension fading as the familiar warmth of their friendship enveloped him. She nodded slowly, her eyes scanning the room, lingering on Emma, who was now animatedly chatting with others. "I heard about the bake sale and thought maybe I could contribute. It's good to see everyone again." "Yeah, it's been a while," he reiterated, almost dumbfounded. "How have you been?" "Just trying to get by," she replied, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her tone. "Work's been a whirlwind. You know how it is, right?" He nodded, feeling the unspoken weight of their shared experiences. They had both faced their share of struggles, but standing here, now, he sensed something different. Lily looked older but stronger, a woman who had walked through fire and emerged still standing. "I can help you set up," she added, glancing towards the tables filled with goods. "Absolutely. Sarah and I were just getting some things organized. Come on." As the two of them moved towards the tables, Mark noticed the way people gravitated towards Lily. Her presence seemed to draw out heartfelt stories and laughter, just like Emma's earlier. They worked side by side, and he couldn't help but smile at the ease between them. Midway through the setup, Daniel approached. "Hey, you two look like you're running the show here," he teased, a wide grin on his face. Yeah, well, we aim to please, Mark shot back, feeling lighter. But Daniel's gaze shifted to Lily. How have you been? Really? Lily hesitated but then shrugged. Busy, but good. Just juggling a lot, you know. Family? Daniel pressed, genuine curiosity in his tone. Just me and my son, she replied, the pride evident in her voice. He's 4 now. Always on the go. That's awesome. It's great to see you again. Mark watched as their conversation unfolded, feeling a sense of warmth grow in the room. The earlier tension began to dissolve into something comforting. He was grateful for this sudden reconnection, but deeper questions lingered just beneath the surface. What did her reappearance mean in the context of everything he was feeling? Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed Emma catching a glimpse of Lily. The two women exchanged curious smiles, an invisible thread weaving their stories together. Mark thought about the community they were building, the paths converging and diverging, the unknown ties that held them together. As the laughter and chatter swelled around him, Mark felt a flicker of trepidation. The air was electric, charged with possibility, but also uncertainty. Did Lily's arrival signify a fresh beginning or an invitation to revisit old wounds? Before he could fully digest his thoughts, Sarah caught his attention again, her eyes bright. Mark, I think we need to decide what we do next. With everything changing, do we bring in more volunteers, or do we focus on what we can handle? Let us discuss that in a minute, Mark replied, feeling the room's energy shift once more. He sensed a pivotal moment was looming, something that could redefine not just their evening, but their lives. Just then, a sudden commotion arose at the entrance again, causing everyone to go silent. What now? Mark's heart raced once more as he prepared himself for another unforeseen twist as he turned to see who it was. The possibilities felt endless, but one undeniable truth loomed above all: change was here, and it wouldn't wait. What awaited them just beyond that door? Mark's heart hammered against his chest as the door swung open again, and his stomach twisted in anticipation. The crowd shifted, eyes darting to the entrance, whispers traveling like quicksilver. What revelation lay in wait? In the doorway stood a tall figure, distinctly dressed in a tailored suit, but what caught everyone's attention was the soft expression on his face. It was Alex, the CEO of a well-known tech company and a local hero in their community. With his reputation for philanthropy, Alex had become a beacon of hope for many families. Mark's stomach knotted tighter. Was he here for the bake sale or something more significant? Sorry to intrude, Alex called out with a smile, his voice warm and inviting. I heard about the community event and wanted to support. I've brought a few items from my foundation. I hope that's all right. Cheers erupted from the crowd, but Mark couldn't shake the feeling of tension. Of course, Alex. Sarah exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement. Anything you can offer is more than welcome. As Alex walked deeper into the room, he scanned for familiar faces. His gaze landed on Mark and Lily, an unexpected warmth igniting between them. Mark felt his heart race in a different way now. Would this be a moment he would regret, or could it be the catalyst for something transformative? Lily shifted slightly, her expression a mixture of admiration and caution. That's Alex. She whispered, seemingly as taken aback as he was. He's done so much for families like mine. Mark nodded, caught off guard by how flustered he felt. Yeah, he's pretty amazing. Can I meet him? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, a childlike excitement shimmering beneath her serene surface. Sure, Mark replied, feeling surprisingly protective. He was both compelled and anxious. Why did he suddenly feel like he had to keep her safe from the world, or from any rising expectations? The CEO approached them, the crowd parting like the Red Sea. Mark, how have you been? He asked casually, clearly recognizing him from community events past. Pretty good, Alex. We've been organizing this bake sale, Mark said, feeling the weight of Lily's presence beside him. This is Lily. Alex extended his hand to her. A pleasure to meet you, Lily. I've heard wonderful things about you. Lily's cheeks flushed, the hint of a smile playing at the corners of her lips. Thanks. It's nice to meet you, too. What brings you out tonight? Alex inquired, genuinely curious. I just thought I'd lend a hand, Lily said, her confidence gradually blooming with each exchange. This community means a lot to me, especially for my son. Mark could see the sparks flying between them, a dance of recognition. This moment felt infinitely more significant than he had prepared for. As the conversation flowed, Mark self-consciously continued to observe them, anxiety creeping back in. The laughter that erupted from the trio was brighter than he had anticipated, yet it felt like a tether was forming, one that bound Lily more to Alex than to him. Just then, the adjacent table collapsed under the weight of stacked boxes, a loud crash echoing across the hall. Everyone jumped, startled by the sudden noise. Mark's heart plummeted in rhythm with the fallen items. Is everyone okay? Someone shouted amidst the chaos as laughter mingled with surprise. Mark glanced at Lily, who had swiftly turned her attention to the scene unfolding. He saw undeniable resolve wash over her face, a woman prepared to spring into action. It took only a split moment for him to realize how much had changed. Her strength was shining, her instincts sharp. In that moment, something shifted within him, a stirring of hope intertwined with trepidation. Who was he to hold back the rising tide of her ambition? As they moved to help, the tension still hung overhead like a tense drumroll. What came next could change everything. But would this event bring their stories closer together, or pull them apart again? With every heartbeat, Mark braced himself for answers he didn't know he needed. As Lily bent down to assist, he wondered. Could this be the beginning of a new chapter for them, or was it just the chaos preceding a bigger storm? The room buzzed like a live wire, excitement mixed with uncertainty. Mark felt adrenaline pumping through him as he surveyed the scene around them, laughter mingled with plans being discussed, hands reaching out to help, but the moment still felt fragile, like it could slip away into chaos at any moment. Lily was focused, her energy harnessed in the swirl of excitement. Mark watched her as she engaged with others, a captivating force drawing everyone in. In that moment, he realized they were exactly the same, both seeking connection while navigating their hopes and fears. They were building a community out of broken pieces, like baking without a proper recipe, but somehow, it was coming together. Together, everyone was finding ways to lift one another up. Mark. Come help us with this table. Sarah called, breaking his reverie. He hurried over, joining her and Emma in restabilizing the fallen supplies. It felt good to work together, the movement creating a rhythm that pushed through the noise and tension. With each laugh shared, new connections formed, the weight of their previous struggles beginning to dissolve in the warmth of this community. Look at this. Emma grinned, holding up a crumpled flyer she had found among the debris. It's from that old bakery up the street. They used to host a community event every month. Mark studied it, his heart skipping. Maybe that essay sign? He mused aloud. What if we brought that vibe here? Seeing Lily and Alex chatting across the room, he envisioned everyone united, shoulders not weighed down by burdens but lifted by dreams. Suddenly, Mark caught sight of Alex snapping a picture of Lily as she animatedly illustrated a story she shared. Mark's heart tightened. It was clear that Lily held power and undeniable ability to inspire others, and it both thrilled him and scared him. Hey, you good? Sarah asked, nudging him lightly. He nodded, but the tangle of emotions inside him fed his anxiety. His thoughts spiraled. What if she didn't need him anymore? What if Alex offered her opportunities Mark couldn't? He shook his head, trying to dismiss the insecurities. They were building something together, he had to believe that. Let's set up that fundraising booth next. He exclaimed, trying to rally everyone's focus. Sarah, Emma, Lily, we need people to share their stories. It'll be the heart of our bakery. Lily turned, her eyes brightening. That's brilliant. Vulnerability is what connects communities. It's what we all share. Mark's heart warmed as she spoke, and he felt a ripple go through the crowd, a wave of energy igniting. Let us do it, he agreed, a stirring possibility catching fire. They could weave their struggles into something beautiful, a vibrant tapestry of lived experiences. As they began setting up for the booth, the interruption of laughter and conversation faded behind them. The air thickened with anticipation. Then, another surprise. Emma stood up, her eyes sparkling. How about we make it a live storytelling session? People can come share their tales, and we'll have treats. Perfect. Mark exclaimed, excitement buzzing between them. Let us give everyone a chance to be heard. He caught Lily's eye in that moment. She nodded, a shared understanding glimmering between them. Together, they would learn to rise above their fears, to share their voices. As the evening unfolded, they gathered stories from neighbors, families, parents, and children, all struggling, all searching for joy amidst hardship. Mark felt the shift as people engaged more deeply. This was genius, stories intertwining like dough in a mixer, each added to the richness they decrafted. But just as they reached the height of shared tales, Mark felt his phone vibrate again, a sharp reminder of his past. It was a message from his boss, and dread washed over him. He read it quickly. Need to discuss your career. Meeting first thing Monday. You can't go making decisions that affect the company without consulting me. He cursed under his breath, his heart racing. Mark? You okay? Lily's voice pulled him out of his anxious spirals. He choked down a breath, forcing a smile. Yeah, just some work stuff. Looks like it's time to focus on what matters. Priorities, right? She said, her confidence radiating. He nodded, needing to adopt the certainty she exuded. Right now mattered. The stories gathered around them mattered. We're on a path to make a difference, Lily, Mark said, his voice steadying as determination pushed away doubt. Together, let us keep doing this. As the event grew more lively, Alex moved closer, engaging with the audience, weaving in ideas about community initiatives and support. Mark felt the weight lift then. Here was a potential ally, someone who could further their vision and validate their hard work. The room vibrated with love, growth, and the determination to bring change together. With each shared experience, healing emerged. Finally, by the end of the night, as shadows danced in the warm glow, as goodbyes filled the space with hope, Mark realized this night wasn't just about the bake sale, it had evolved into an embodiment of possibility. The next morning came with early dawn, cold light pouring into Mark's life like fresh yeast rising in dough. He felt the stirring within him, a deep resolution unfurling, to embrace this new path, the bakery, and everything that it represented, not just for him, but for Sarah, for Lily, for Emma, and the entire community they had started to build. He'd confront those shadows and the call of his past. He would invest in dreams, real lives around him, not numbers on a spreadsheet. He wouldn't retreat. As his new vision solidified in his heart, he reached for his phone, feeling courage swell within him. He had a busy day ahead, calls to make and plans to set into motion. But first, he looked outside at the rising sun, the fresh possibilities ahead awaiting his embrace. It was time for the bakery to be born, and with that, transformation wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. Mark's journey had ignited a change within himself, a truth that affirmed he mattered, their stories mattered. And as he smiled, the promise of a new beginning gleamed brightly, bursting to life in the dawn light. Now, if you felt that spark, if you believe in community and the power of dreams, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that thumbs up, leave a comment about how these stories resonate with you, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Join us on this incredible journey.